A very good evening to all of you, and I welcome everyone for today's Valentine's special Flipside series. I'm Ashik Zufar, present here today, and I will be moderating the Pick a Book Valentine's special Flipside series. Thank you very much for being here with us today. And before I introduce our presenters, let me tell you a little bit about Pick a Book and what we actually do. So, Pick a Book encourages the reading habit by getting all participants to select a book, read and research on it thoroughly, and present a summary, which also helps to hone his or her public speaking, communication, and presentation skills. By doing this, Pick a Book not only inculcates the habit of reading, but also helps to impart a wealth of knowledge. To give you a small brief about Pick a Book Flipside series, it is an amazing platform to get different perspectives from a particular book by our very own readers around the world. So, without further delay, let's get started with a fun-filled session about an amazing book, The Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman, by two of our skillful presenters. And to give you a small introduction about our presenters present here today, to start off with Amrita Hapuarachi, an entrepreneur by profession who runs her own business in manufacturing ladies and children's clothing. And she also manages a boutique called Amani, and you can find it down Thurston Road. So she helps upcoming designers streamline and manufacture their clothes collections. And last but not least, an amazing single mother of a teenager. Hello, Amrita.
Hi.
Hi. So let me also introduce our other presenter here with us today, Krishanta Jayasinghan, aka CJ. And if you didn't know, he refers to himself as the growth whisperer. And that is because the passion he has for growth, whether it may be helping brands to gain market share, helping organizations to get more people to embrace their cause, or even helping people to grow in knowledge and career opportunities. CJ enjoys the challenge. Hello, Krishanta.
Hey everyone, I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be on here.
Great. Thank you very much, Krishanta. And it is a pleasure to be a moderator for you too as well. So today's series is all about love and how you can love your partner and have a healthy and strong relationship. An interesting quote I learned from this book is, love is the most important word in English and also the most confusing. To get to know more about this quote, let me start by asking our panelists on why they recommend this book and how did you come across it. And I would like to start it off by getting Amrita's opinion first.
Well, I really recommend this book because when you're getting into any sort of relationship, this book really helps you, gives you a starting point on how to handle the other person, whether it is a office worker. The good thing about this, it's just not just for romantic love, it's for anyone. So when you're getting involved with anyone, this is the best sort of thing, is you figure out where they're coming from and what their background is. So I highly recommend this.
And how did you come across this book, Amrita?
Actually, a friend recommended it to me and told me, this is something, because I never thought about it, because when you're in relationships, you're constantly having conflict and you begin to think, is there something wrong with me? Why am I not clicking with somebody? And when you read this, you realize, it's not you. It's not just you. It's just how you interpret someone else's actions. So it was a really enlightening experience for me to find out and learn about my love languages.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Amrita, for that. And also, Krishanta, what would you have to say about this question? Why would you recommend this book and how did you come across this book as well?
Well, actually, how I came about this book was I was reading Men Are From Mars, and Women Are From Venus. And as I was reading this, somehow somebody told me if men are from Mars is one side of the coin, this is the other side of the coin. And that's how, I actually started reading this book. And believe me, it was absolutely amazing because the underlying theory of this book is we try to show our caring for others the same way we feel cared for. And it's like one person saying something to someone who doesn't understand Chinese in Chinese, and that other person speaking to him in Sinhalese. You know,
Yeah.
We all have different ways of feeling cared for and loved to, and it's like two different languages. That's the underlying aspect of this book, and that's why I suggest you read it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And I'm pretty sure our audience would also have a very interesting session today where they get to know and they would definitely get inspired to read this book as well. So I would like to take this time to encourage our audience on Facebook and also on YouTube to keep asking their questions. And I would ask them from our panelists at the end of the session. So I've also read in a few books like Mena from Mars, like you did say, CJ, and I have noticed that the word love tank is repeated in over here. So could you tell us how does that relate to the love language?
Well, in an ideal situation, you would like to know what the love languages are first, but I'm sure we are going to get to that. But love tank is actually something where, you know, it's like, imagine it's a fixed deposit, right? So we keep putting money into the other person's love tank, every little act you do, you keep putting money. And every time that person uh, perceives one of your acts as a negative act, the love tank drops. So the basic theory is that uh, the basic theory is that uh, one act of negativity needs 6 acts of positive acts to bring it to an equal. So you have to ensure that the love tank is always full.
Right, great. Thank you very much, CJ. Yes, indeed, the love tank should always be filled to give your whole and expect also the same, I believe. But that being said, so Amrita, I believe in my point of view, I believe that the 5 love languages are a little too simplified. What would you have to say about this?
I think actually you should first find out what those love languages are, because before we go on to talking about how simplified they are, I'm sure CJ can explain them much better than I can. The five love languages. Um, CJ, do you want to continue and just say what the
Yes, so
five languages are?
I think that's a very good starting point. So basically, as I'm just going to take a little time to explain this because I mean, ultimately, this is the most crucial part of this book.
Yeah,
So what I suggest, so basically, Dr. Gary Chapman was a marriage counselor, and after nearly 30 years of doing this, how he only came about with these 5 different love languages. Um, so the number one language is, again, this is not in order of priority. These are 5 different ways. Is spending quality time, right?
yes,
Spending quality time.
yes,
Number two is uh, words of affirmation. It could be kind words, it could be complimentary words, it could be words of support, but telling people, look, you can do it. Oh, you're doing something really great. Words of affirmation. Then number three is acts of service. Little things. Again, I'm just going to go a little bit from men are from Mars and women are from Venus. What they say is it's not 100 roses at once, it's one rose 100 times. So acts of service.
right,
And then uh, number four is gifts, little things just to make a person feel wanted and cared for. And number five is physical touch. There are people who want touch, like a hug, a pat on the back. A lot of people think physical touch means, oh, this is to do about sex. No, this is not about sex. This is just about, putting an arm around one another and saying, listen, Dan, you're doing a good job. Again, I want to say, even though when we think of love, we think of a romantic partner, it could be a child and a parent or a colleague, these 5 languages.
yes. Great. Thank you very much, Krishanta, for that amazing insight about the 5 love languages as well. So to come back to the question which I was supposed to ask from Amrita as well. So, Amrita, so from CJ's outline about the five love languages, do you think that this is a little too simplified? And what would you have to say about this?
Well, yes, it is a bit too simplified because, as we all know, relationships are complicated. You know, they are not as simple. You can't put them down to five things, and people are complicated. So, like, what happens is with love languages, sometimes it can be used as scorekeeping. Like, couples start, if you're going to talk about romantic love, that is, couples start, counting, okay, I did this and I did that. And then they start saying, oh, I practiced my love language more than you did. So those things happen. And also, the other thing is because it's so simplified, compatibility is forgotten. It's just compatibility is very important as well. So you need to be compatible with that person. So along with the love languages, you have to have effective communication, which people assume, okay, I have the love language down, that's fine, but you need to be able to communicate that with the other person and communicate it more effectively, because everyone likes the idea of quick fix. This is fine, I've got this, I know this, this is how I'm going to handle the situation. For example, if my partner's love language is receiving gifts, okay, I do something wrong, I get him a present, everything is fine. It's really not. It works much more deeply than that. And also, the other thing is love language changes. Like, your love language today might be something completely different another 2-3 years time. For example, if you were having physical love, for example, is your first love language, maybe later on it could be, words of affirmation. You want to hear someone giving you a compliment, and a hug just doesn't do it. Also, the other thing that I found was Dr. Chapman gives this very dangerous idea that you can love someone, enough to make them love you back. But the thing is, that's not true, because it's almost like telling an abused wife, just keep loving your husband, and he will, even if he beats you up, continue loving him and he'll stop beating you up. That doesn't happen. So you have to, so like, again, it's very simplified. I agree, love languages is a good thing, but along with that, you need to have effective communication with your partner.
Yes, of course, definitely. And communication is basically key for everything. And thank you very much, Amrita, for that insightful answer. And I would also like to get Krishanta's opinion about this. So, do you think that the five love languages are simplified?
I do, and it's not to disagree with it. Basically, I work in advertising, and one of the things we have is it's an acronym called KISS, which it means keep it simple, stupid, right? In the lack, what I'm saying is in a world where there is no deep study and deep understanding, when we drive a car or put a car on the road, we have a license, right? And there is a lot of study and depth which goes into becoming an expert at it before we are given a license. In a world where there is anything like that, when it comes to relationships, I believe this simple thing is a good starting point to know what your boundaries are.
Great. Thank you very much, Krishanta. And also to ask you with that, so how do you think that you can use this learning in real life? And how can people put these five love languages and how can they know what their love language is?
Well, there are very two easy things to do. The first one is actually if you go to lovelanguages.com, there is a test which you can go through. It's a multiple choice test. Yeah, and when you answer all this, then it gives you like, your first language is this, your second is this, and so on. So that's one easy way. The other way is always look at what people are complaining about,
Yeah.
and there in the complaints, you will find the solution to your question. So if someone is saying, look, you are never spending time with me, that means yes, quality time is one of their love languages. You
Yes.
never bring me anything. Yeah, You get it?
Yes,
So
of course.
the complaint is the answer to the problem.
Great. Thank you very much, Krishanta, for that as well. And so to ask both of you, and I would like to start it off with Amrita as well. So what is one thing that you learned the most from this book?
Wow. Actually, it taught me more about myself, to be honest, because like I said earlier, like you don't, I don't know, as women, I think we like to find out more about our emotional, where we are emotionally. So this really helped me, okay, figure out this is what my issue is. But like I said, I did this to figure out things about me and also about my partner. So both of us did the test and we figured out, oh, this is how we can, handle each other. But saying that, CJ mentioned the website. On that, by the way, even for kids, they have a love language test, even if you want to take for your children or even for, I think for even with colleagues. So if anyone wants to log on to the website, that's a good idea to start. But I learned a lot about how to talk about what I want. I think it's really important for us as individuals, not just women or men or whatever, but as individuals to be able to express yourself in a better way with your partner or anyone for that matter, whether it's a friend, whether this love languages really help you effectively explain where you're coming from to someone else. So that's one thing I learned from it.
Right. Thank you very much, Amrita. And also, Krishanta, what is that one thing that you learned the most from this book?
Well, the actually the it was eye-opening for me because I always thought everyone else, uh, my values were identical to the values of others. If you get what I mean.
Yes.
And it's only after reading this book I realized, bloody hell, that's completely wrong. Just because I feel special in a certain manner does not mean that the other person or my colleagues or even my children would feel the same way. So that was an eye-opening discovery for me.
Great. Lovely. Thank you very much, Krishanta, for that. So, just before I get into the last question from our panelists, I have a question for the audience as well. How do you express your love to your partner? And I would love to see a few comments coming, and I will read them out as well very soon. So, to give you the last question as well, so I would like to know on what would your love language be for your partner? So I would like to ask Amrita first.
What do you mean? Like, as in what is my love
What
language, or what is
your
my partner's love language?
what is your love language?
That's a good question. I was actually thinking I need to redo my test, beginning to think like it might be changing. But I think it was quality time. I think that was very important to me because I feel like, with our busy lives and what's going, everyone has no time for anything, So I think quality time seems to be, at least I feel like it seems to be my top love language. But keep in mind, just because you get it in that particular order of, love language, quality time, physical touch, it just doesn't mean that's the only one. It could be two, could be tied. That's what I said. It's too simplified because we're a combination of it all. It's just, so it's not just, if your love language is receiving gifts, give a present and forget about it. You have to put in that effort. So.
Yeah, thank you very much, Amrita. Thank you very much for that as well. And Krishanta, what would your love language be?
I call it quality time and quality food. No, actually, in my case too, it would be quality time. Now, again, you must understand. I'm just saying this. I think all of you should read the book because otherwise it seems really, really very simple. But actually, Dr. Gary Chapman expands on what quality time is. if two of you sit together and watch TV, that does not necessarily mean quality time. Spending time and quality time are two different things. Unfocused time is one thing which he talks about. Focused attention is something which he talks about. And if you go through the book, you will realize there's quite a lot of stuff which you can learn. But yeah, I think quality time is something I also like to say one of my in terms of priority. That would be number one.
Great, lovely. And we also have Udara Munasinghe, who is saying us that spending quality time is really important. And I believe it is her love language as well. And we also do have Udara Dimel, who is saying respect and understanding. Should not expect your partner to think in the same line that of you. So that I believe is his love language as well. So I believe we do have a few questions from our audience from YouTube as well, and they are asking me. So what would all five love languages be? Would all five love languages be applicable to one, or is it a mix of a few? So
Um,
maybe I could get it from Amrita.
it's a everyone has those needs. I mean, like I'll just repeat the love languages again. It was physical touch, quality time. Oh my gosh, my mind is like losing it. There was so everyone has those love languages within each other. So you can't say, uh, you only have one love language, right? So the love languages is words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So you can't say, oh, I don't like anyone holding my hand, and I'd rather have, everyone has it all, but it's just that which one you express more. Like CJ mentioned, or someone might complain, oh, you never spend time with me. So quality time is important, but doesn't mean I don't like getting presents as well. You get it? Like everyone has all of that. But it's always like when you're I
Yes,
would advise anyone, if you're getting into a relationship with someone or you think things are moving in a serious direction, do the test. Just do it just for the fun of it, and see what happens.
lovely. And to do the test, it is, I believe, lovelanguages.com. Am I right, Amrita? Just to
Yes.
confirm that.
Yes, if
Great.
you go onto the website, and if you just Google it, love language quiz, you can easily go. It's a free. Just do it, and they actually give you the opportunity of you and your partner to do it together. So then you can have a nice, you can compare it and have a good laugh, and it's a good bonding exercise.
Definitely, yes, indeed. And yes, so also to ask you something else, which we have from our audience, and I believe we have CJ as well. So just to get your opinion on this. So how do one identify the right language of their partner? So instead of doing the quiz, is there any other way where they could look into it?
I think CJ mentioned, if if you're curious about what your partner's love language is, see what they complain about the most.
Yes.
Like you don't spend time with me, or you don't give me presents. You never get me anything. So when you never compliment me. So when your partner says these things all the time, instead of think of it as, hey, maybe there's something I can learn from this.
Yes, great. That is indeed very true as well. And yeah, so CJ, do you think that if a person was in a relationship, it is important that both of them read this book, or maybe only if one does read the book?
See, can you hear me, guys, clearly?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Right. Sorry, something happened and I logged off or I was kicked out, one of the two. I believe in an ideal situation, both parties should look at it. and do the test. But even if it is not possible, if one party does it and he starts, learning from it and doing positive things, you will see the other party changing, you know, and
Yeah.
things will begin to improve.
Great. And since this was mostly a Western book and it is written by Gary Chapman himself as well, so do you think this could be applicable in Sri Lanka? In a world, in a country where we are mostly traditional.
Um, I think if you look at all these things, it's I mean it defies cultural boundaries and barriers. Believe that it works for everyone, regardless of it's Western or not. I mean, people would like to have physical touch, people would love to have quality time, and people would love to be complimented, regardless of whatever the cultural background they come from.
Yes, of course. And also, Amrita, to just get you to ask our last question from our audience from YouTube as well. So, is it good to understand your colleague's love language as well? Like, not only in your partner, but also from your colleague who is working with you, or maybe your
Of,
friend?
of course. I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, man does own, right? We have to deal with other people, we have to handle other people, and communicate. So if you, I mean, we call it love language, but it's really just how to tackle another person, how to handle another person. So whether it is your partner, whether it is your colleague, your best friend, somebody you just met and you feel like there's a connection, I mean, it's really good to to do this because you discover more about yourself, you discover more about that person, how to handle them. So yeah, I think it's important, especially if you work at, in your own personal life. It's important. And even what CJ was saying about cultural thing, love is universal. It doesn't matter where you come from. Everyone wants to be loved, to be cared for, to feel special in some way. So this transcends any sort of, any sort of cultural background. You need to, if you can handle someone else, that's the key to the game, isn't it?
Yes, of course. That is indeed very true as well. So, if one of us were to read the book, or maybe to read and understand this book as well, so would that mean that our relationship would be better just because we read the book, or is there any people who would think the same, that okay, this is not something which would go forward with us? Is like, since you all are expertise on the book and you all are here with us today, so maybe that question.
CJ, do you want to
Uh,
go? Shall I go?
well, it's like this. Uh, you heard of the Monday morning syndrome, right? You go
Yes.
for you go for a seminar or something on Saturday, and by Monday you've forgotten it. So all book learning is useless unless you put it into practice.
Practice.
And if you put it into practice, I think definitely you will see results.
Yeah,
Right.
and I just like to add to that, like as I said earlier, like it does. You have to put it into practice, and you have to work at it. I mean, any relationship, whether it is romantic, platonic, it doesn't matter. You have to work at it. I mean, clear communication needs to be there. So don't, I mean, I think what we like to think it's a quick fix, right? We know the love languages, we know what our partner's love language, our friend's love language is. Okay, we're set. But no, you have to work at it. You have to discuss. You have to make sure you're still, you keep that communication alive. Otherwise, there's no point. I think a lot of people think, okay, I've learned the love language, that's it. But no, you have to keep it going. You have to deal with it, you know, day
Yes,
to day.
great. So, and we also do have a few messages from Facebook and YouTube as well, where Aziza Jafarji from YouTube says people have different needs at different times and sometimes all. So, thank you very much, Aziza, for your comment as well. And yes, of course, we people in as humans, we definitely have different needs as well at different, understandable. And we also have Meghanathan Ram, who says, great insight. Thank you very much and for your comment. And we also have Arlene Alexander, who is saying, interesting and insightful. Thank you to you both. So you do definitely have amazing positive feedback for y'all contributing on Facebook and also on YouTube. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for being present here with us today for an amazing Valentine's special series. And thank you very much, Prashanta and Amrita, for that insightful session. And I would love to hope to see you all soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Signing off.
All right, good night.
All right. Good night.